Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through all of those fears that hold you back from living your awesome life. It's really all just fear-based, isn't it silly? An emotion, a self-created thought that we don't want, that we create, stops us from having the life that we want. So it sounds like an easy solution, right? Stop having the negative and fearful thoughts. Why can't we? We can. Why is it so difficult? Well, let me grab my coffee here. It's very early Saturday morning. Hold on. Here in beautiful Atlanta. So, herein lies the dilemma, doesn't it? How do we get out of this cycle? And we'll spend most of our lives, most people spend most of their lives dealing with it, fighting it, not wanting it, and still doing it. Well, I don't have all the answers because, if I did, they'd be lined up around the block here. But I can tell you something right now, and that is, sometimes it's not just trying to eliminate something that we don't understand. Sometimes it's just refocus. And for me, if you were to refocus and not battle the feelings and the experiences that you're having that make you feel bad, if you refocus, they lose power and they become less prominent in your life and they start to take a back seat. So in other words, and I've shared this with you many times, you're just simply making a new choice. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be natural. It's not natural to sit here and say, okay, I am feeling this, now I'm going to choose this, or I'm going to feel that. No, you probably won't. But what you're doing is you're taking your mind that's fueling that energy, and everything is energy. When you fuel that energy of negativity or worry, usually worry, I'm not going to get what I want, then you are not fighting it and not saying, I don't want that, I'm going to choose this, I'm going to choose this. Do it in a peaceful way where you say, okay, I'm feeling that. In fact, if I ever have feelings that show up, I just sit with them and I say, okay, what is that? It's like, wow, I'm feeling a little bit not so right. What is that and what triggered that? And I always know what triggered it. It's that old conditioning of what you should and shouldn't be doing. And it doesn't always go with what you want to do. In fact, most of the time it doesn't, because that's why so many people live in unhappy lives and never get out of them. My dad's one of them. My father loved California. He loved Santa Barbara. And he made trips out there, and he just absolutely adored it. Now, we're from Michigan. It's like total opposite of Santa Barbara in every way. And toward the end of his life, my mom had died, and I said, Dad, go, sell the house and just go out there. Get a great little place on the ocean, maybe a little apartment, and just look at the ocean every day. You can do it. Well, no, I don't know, and it's a lot to do. And I said, no, we could do that. We can make that happen. He could have made it happen. He was still very able-bodied. And my brother, who has since passed, who recently passed too, said, stop encouraging Dad to do that. Now that is one scenario of how most of us live. If there's that person who speaks up and says, I want to do this, this is, not normal for human beings to go after what they want, most of the time you'll get some kind of resistance and pushback. So what happens, we go into that fearful zone because the world doesn't approve of certain things. You've been conditioned to think a certain way. You're supposed to be living this and that, and if it's not happening, you should be afraid. You've been conditioned to think that way. Now here I'm encouraging my father to do the one thing he's wanted to do probably, most of his life, ever since he'd gone out there. What harm would it have done if he'd have moved out there? He could have gotten any kind of care if and he was living on his own, so he was doing okay. What stopped him? Well, he had entrenched himself in a life that was now so rooted that he didn't know how to step away from it. And the problem we have with being in a certain place or situation for a period of time is we're conditioning ourselves to be fearful to go outside of it, even if we're unhappy where we are. The longer you stay in a situation that you don't like, the more difficult it is to break away from that conditioned thinking that, oh my gosh, this is it. And then you start to want that other thing, right? You're in this and you keep going down that road, and pretty soon you don't see a way out, and you see this goal, you want it, and you feel like because you've been in this situation for a certain period of time, the longer you're in it, the more difficult you feel in your head it is to get out of it, and that's just not true. What's happening is other people are conditioned. Right? Most of the time, the things that you want to go do, you have all this fear and this thinking, everything's coming in. It's usually what we're told we should do, or how things should work, or we've got people around us that are going to disapprove because they're in that fearful place. They're sitting there worrying and doing all of this, negative thinking that doesn't help anything, themselves or anybody else. So you've got all these feelings that come up. People have things they want to go do, and then there's always the people around them in that place, that negative space, that are going to discourage the others. Because what happens if other people make it out of the box and find out there's a sun out there that shines very brightly? It will force others who want to get out of that box to have to go do it, and they are petrified of going out. It's all fear-based. That's why people discourage you. Sometimes it comes from love. They want the best for you, and they're still thinking from a fearful place that it's not good for you to try a job that's out of the box, or move to a different country, or do anything that is out of the norm that they believe is good, yet they're not happy. This is all insanity, isn't it? So when you sit there and you have those feelings of fear come in, just know that this is not going to be easy to just flip around. So you don't try to do that, because what's happening is all of the conditioning, all of the things you've been told, all of the collective consciousness, the years, the centuries of fear that's been built up by ourselves from other people who thought it was really great to have everybody in a certain place that they could control, and then we've all thought that's where we're supposed to be. We're breaking away from that. But those fears aren't just going to go away overnight. So just sit with it and say, I'm choosing another thought. And it's going to be there. It's going to still creep in. You just choose the other thought and say, first of all, where's that coming from? Now, I'm not big on analysis. I'm just like, you can drive yourself nuts analyzing why you do or think a certain way. But the thing is that you may not know, even if you think you do. So don't get too hung up on that. Just say, okay, where is it coming from? All right, lack of money. I'm always worried about money, or I'm always worried about being alone, or what else? Oh, I'm worried about I'm going to get stuck in this job for the rest of my life. So we sit and we do all of these mental constructs instead of taking some action to change the situation. And action starts with a different thought, saying, you know what? I can achieve anything I want in my life. I'm going to have to make some changes. I'm going to focus on what those changes need to be to change this fearful thinking based on whatever situation I've set myself up in, and I think that I need to be afraid of something or worry about something. I'm going to go over here and say, okay, I'm going to think about what I do want, how I do want to feel. and how I would act to change that thinking. How can I act right now? What can I choose right now to think about that will at least pull the focus off of that fear sitting there that's probably going to hang around for a while? That's not true. It's not real. It's false. It's just based on, like I said, everything else that's really not you. If it was you, we'd be fearful on the other side. It's a construct that humans have put together for many, many reasons. Some of them make sense. Most of them don't. So when you're sitting there and this stuff creeps in, you got to ask yourself, all right, how am I feeling right now? I'm feeling a way I don't want to, and it's me, and I can change it. Why am I not changing it? And then you say, okay, I'm going to go over here and choose another thought. What's the opposite thought to, let's say you're in a situation, where you're struggling with your job, you don't like what you're doing, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How do I change this? I can't see any way out of it. I get this a lot with my internet marketing. If you guys see these things come up, I'm always promoting free videos to talk to people about different ways of living, different choices that they can make that are not traditional, and people fear it. They're like, oh, this is not traditional. This isn't a college. Spend a fortune on college. Get out. Can't use the education. Don't have a job. Go get jobs that you need to survive. Get stuck in that for God knows how long, and not find your way out of it. Helping people trying to think outside that box, and people are fearful to try the new things because they've been told there's a certain way you live and things that you do that are good and approved of. And if you go outside of that, be fearful. It's not good. So let's say you're sitting there and you're in this situation. You're like, how did I get into this? I'm in a job I don't want. Maybe some of you I've heard of work 2 jobs, trying to make ends meet. And where does that end? I don't want to be negative, but in the grave, unless you do something to change it. So let's take those thoughts of fear and worry, it's all fear, and say, I need to change my thoughts. But the thoughts won't change the situation per se. It can. Choose the thought that will help change the situation. And you may get resistance around you. You don't have to share those thoughts and ideas and plans that you have to change your life. So, not feeling good, sit with and say, this feels really bad. I don't like this. I've got pressures that I've created and the world has created, and I've believed them. I know that I am limitless. What am I going to choose? Am I doing the right things right now? Am I doing the right things to change the situation or the way I think that's going to make me happy and everybody else? Can I make that change right now? Of course you can. So I'm going to choose a different thought, and that is, I don't have to work in those jobs for the rest of my life. And I don't need to go back and get a college degree. That's not required anymore. There are some options for me. What are they? What is it I really want to do with my life? Well, I've always wanted to be an artist, but that doesn't make any sense. Well, what if I worked in a shop where there's art? And I got a job doing that, and I was around at least what I love to do. What if I, was an assistant to an art gallery or a glass blowing shop or whatever? You start to get creative and focus on that. It's going to pull you away from the fear and empower you. You're going to feel like you have some power now, because fear makes you feel like you don't have control, right? You feel like you don't have control, and it's like you don't want the thoughts. It's like somebody else is doing this to you. They're not. You're doing it, and nobody makes you feel that way. So you've got to take charge and focus over here and say, what's my new thought? What's my new thought that can help alleviate this thing that I'm concerned about? All right, so I want to change this situation. I want to change worrying. I'm worrying because I'm doing things that I don't want to do, and I continue to do them. So this cycle is going to continue. So I have to break this cycle. How do I break this cycle? Not fighting the fear, but just saying, If I redirect my thoughts and actions towards something that will eliminate that fear, because I don't have to worry about money anymore if I'm doing something that's earning me more, giving me potential to get out of that situation. I have to take the action. Not expecting everybody to do it for me. I get that all the time. You can help me, you can support me. No, I don't have to do anything. I want you to be empowered. And I'm going to do a video after that. How do you get things? How do you get things in your life? It's a very simple formula. So redirect your thoughts. Don't fight them. Redirect them. But redirect them in a way that's going to be constructive, that's going to help alleviate the reason why you're feeling the fear in the first place. And yes, you're going to get the people that say, Landria, Dad can't move to California. Quit giving him those pipe dreams. My dad liked hearing those pipe dreams, and he died shortly after that. He never made it to California. He should have been there. Why wouldn't he? What was stopping him from doing that? He got so rooted into the life he didn't love. The house and the stuff, collecting things that didn't even matter to him anymore. So, what are you stopping yourself from achieving or going after because you're stuck in this worry and it's not changing anything? Redirect the thoughts to constructive thoughts, constructive feelings. Don't fight the negative ones. Know that you're having them because you're in a situation that you're allowing to continue on and that you need to take the action and start focusing your thoughts on how you can make changes. Even if it's how you approach people, how you act with people, how you handle situations. Maybe you have a relationship problem with, family or a spouse or something like that. How can you redirect your thoughts to say, how can I make that situation better? Because those thoughts aren't going to go away, those fears. How can I make it better? Maybe it's getting out of a certain situation. Maybe it's time for me to do that. And that's going to be a little bit fearful too, but I need to focus on that because that's going to be the best choice for me. Going after a new job is going to be the best choice. If I stay here, I'm just fueling that fire. It's never going to go away. These are small things that need to be done every day and every moment that you feel negative or fearful. Redirecting and thoughts and making new choices of what you think about and how you perceive the world will eventually rewire you, and these negative fears, anything over here that makes you feel bad, is going to start to lose its power. But when you make a new choice, I say go to your puppy place, but those new choices, those thoughts, should include solutions to changing the situation that you don't love. Because you have the power. It's your life. You can do anything you want with it. Don't say you can't. We all have choices. We all have opportunities, no matter what situation we're in. There's always something else that you can do to change your situation. And it starts with your thoughts. And if you don't believe it yet, start with the thoughts and eventually you'll know it's true. I hope you're not worrying today. You're whole and perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. That's from the Master Key System. That mantra healed somebody and many others just by saying it. Eventually you'll know it's true if you don't believe it already. I'm sending you the power and the strength that you already have. I don't have to send it to you, but I'm going to send it to you so that you believe that you have it. It's within you right now, but we're here to help each other, aren't we? So I'm sending you the power that you already hold yourself to change and refocus anything you don't like about your life, your thoughts, anything that's self-limiting, that the collective consciousness still holds, that you share. It's going to take some power to make those changes, but you can do it. And if you don't do it, well, if nothing changes, right? It's time. Namaste.